Almost everyone's were a bit in disbelief that this Landon in front of them would be the favored one's dabbing pillar flow. To know, favored child's rubbing column flow is the entire alliance is the most top playing style, by virtue of dexterity, with the help of each time to dodge the gap, accurate targeting of the enemy, back and forth, repeatedly jumping horizontally. It can be said, in the entire alliance, everyone facing favored one's dabbing flow was out of reach. Even in today's era where illusion gods were invincible, favored one's dabbing pillar flow was still applicable. So, when Landon cast favored one's classic playing method of dabbing pillar flow, the entire live broadcast room instantly just exploded off. At the same time, Landon also relied on the spoiled child's scuffing flow, repeatedly jumping horizontally and using the middle marble as a cover. Landon is also here to ruthlessly brush away. The score came straight to 6-2. As the gap in the score gradually widened, the entire AG training room was silent, looking at Landon, who was constantly rubbing the marble and dodging. The expression on OO's face also became more and more grave. For Landon's scuffing pillar flow style of play, he couldn't stand it either. I can't stand it. I'm going to charge straight out and do it. Only to see. OO's words fell. The figure was even more violent and violent. Directly as the end of the hand COD's AK rushed out. A horizontal push. The peerless great general, say Surge OO, also showed his amazing dominance over the AK at this moment. Only seen. A set of advanced gun splashes from OO instantly forced Landon out of the marble, and after that, a shot into the soul. Direct hit, headshot. The next second, OO also didn't make any stops, directly lifting up his AK and rushing out like this. Directly press home. When they saw OO act like this, everyone present also fell into silence. They all understood. OO was completely angry, but to be honest, anyone else who was tortured by such a marble in the middle of the road would also be angry, only to see that OO, who had completely let go, was just like a violent killing god. The COD's AK in his hand was like the scythe of the god of death, constantly harvesting Landon's life. Even as long as Landon just resurrected from defending his home, he was directly killed in seconds. So, the original advantageous score was also instantly overtaken by OO. It directly came to 8-6. Looking at OO, who had fallen into a rampage, Landon's heart couldn't help but become heavier and heavier. He was able to sense that the other party was not ordinary. Such a fast reaction speed was hardly something that an ordinary player could possess. Then there could only be one situation today. It was highly likely that the other party was the real OO. Thinking of this, Landon's expression couldn't help but become more and more grave. If it was the real OO, he against the gun completely does not hold any advantage. So, or must use the cover to be able to do. But looking at the front, has been plunged into the storm, like a demon king of the OO. Landon's heart is also clear. Now he wants to use the method of rubbing the column flow again. It is obvious that it is no longer possible. Forget it. Let it go? After thinking about it, Landon also directly let go. Landon directly picked up the AK in his hand, and OO had a plane to shoot up. I have to say, the world's first bulge is still the world's first bulge. The plane gun is no match for anyone at all. What's more, now it's the Sayatsu that has gone berserk, so it's even more terrifying. The next two heads, OO managed to bag them almost without any effort. But Landon wasn't a vegetarian either. It also managed to exchange one of OU's lives. So, the final score, too, came to 10-7. Although it ended with OO winning, everyone's eyes that looked at Landon also all changed. Rubbing pillar flow. This Landon is definitely not an ordinary person. Moreover, even though he lost to OO, the crowd was all able to see just how great Landon's potential was. Being able to gain 7 heads at the hands of Sei Cho, and forcing him to storm off. In the entire alliance, Landon was considered unique. How was it? After ending the match with Landon, Yang Sir on the side also opened his mouth with a solemn expression and asked, "The stance is very good, the shooting skill is also there. To be honest, if I give him a certain amount of time, I feel that he can grind me to death," said the man. OO also couldn't help but laugh bitterly. The crowd that heard this also couldn't help but slowly nod their heads. There was nothing wrong with what OO said. Zhang, what about you? How do you feel stance-wise? It was also at this moment that Bright also inquired at the favored one on the side. Very good. Favored one also couldn't help but open his mouth to praise him when he heard this. Although it was just 2 simple words, it was also a great affirmation for Landon. It was important to know. There weren't many people in the entire alliance who could get favored one's affirmation. Well, Brother Yang and I just looked at it as well. This Landon, his awareness and marksmanship are not a problem. Especially the stance. It's almost reached a point that many professional players can hardly reach. So, we want to recruit him into our youth training. What are your opinions? Liang also glanced at Yang Sir on the side before rushing to the crowd in front of him and opened his mouth. No problem. For a moment, the crowd also opened their mouths in unison and answered. After all, Being able to have such a strong player as their team member would not be a bad thing for them. At the same time, after finishing his match with Shirt E200, Landon's entire body also realized the gap between himself and the professional players. It was simply a heaven and a hell. And himself. At the very beginning, there was a certain amount of luck involved in being able to tyrannize Bruce and the others. After all, in the beginning, Bruce and the others were very gullible, plus the Phantom God was in hand. Combined with the dexterity and swiftness of the body, it can be said that Landon was able to let the whole person, as if there was no one's land that way, wantonly abused and killed. But now, in and Shi's sudden 0-0 playing against the gun, Landon is also well aware of their own gap. It seems that the career path is also not an easy road. Landon, who thought of this, couldn't help but look a bit stern. But no matter what, now that he had obtained the system, then it was going to be imperative to rise to the top. COD 20 Season 2022 COD's World Tournament. There must be a place for me, Landon. After that, a mechanical and cold voice sounded in Landon's mind once again. Congratulations to the host for triggering a randomized mission. You need to complete the individual competition within 1 hour, with 3 consecutive 200 headshot kills. What? When he learned of the task released by the system, Landon's entire body instantly froze in place. 3 consecutive individual competitions with 200 kills, and also headshots. This damn. The moment. Landon is in the heart secretly muttered. This system won't be playing with itself. You know, today's individual competition Phantom God and QBZ Rampage. All kinds of through the box, dump instant, a shuttle splash shot to suck blood. It also leads to today's individual competition. Want to go on 178 are very difficult a thing. But now the system is released to their own personal competition more than 200 tasks. Moreover, it is also a fucking headshot. This. Simply want to play themselves to death. But next, the system's sentence, instantly is to let Landon as if playing chicken blood that, instantly stand up. Mission successful, reward Great General Pentagonal Warrior YF Sniper Template. A few simple words, but it gave Landon great motivation and confidence at this moment. Great General, Pentagonal Warrior. In the entire alliance, he was the top of the heap. Even with his own strength, he brought the KZ team into the S18 finals. A hand of Phantom God, but also played the entire league, are difficult to find an enemy. If you can get the sniper template of the Great General YF. This moment, Landon was already unable to imagine what came next. So, the next second, without any hesitation, except, the Great General. It's exciting to think about it. The countdown for the mission has begun. The host has 60 minutes left. Listening to the system's beep in his head, Landon didn't hesitate and directly opened the gun training room in a hurry to start preparing for the training. More than 200 kills, it must also be a headshot. This is indeed a difficult thing. But no matter how difficult it is again, one must also complete it. Can't have the Great General sniper template just slip away for no reason. At the same time, inside Max's live broadcast room. At this moment, Max was also in the middle of a joyful ranked game with Emperor 51 song. But just when the game was being played vigorously, the pop-up screen suddenly changed. Old White, go and see, the personal competition has come out with an outlier. I'll lock head to 577 and Yen Old are dry numb. 12 minutes. Guess how many he killed? More than 200, and all of them are heads. Quickly go and take a look. US COD's ambassador, you can't ignore this kind of plug-in. A time. The sudden surge of pop-ups, even more so, Max, who was having a double row with Song Huang, was dumbfounded. External hangings. 12 minutes of individual competition and 200 kills. Moreover, they were all heads. This. It was also at the moment when Max was hesitating and thinking. The door of the live broadcast room was also violently opened, and then came Max side training Solo's figure face to face. Big brother, come out for a moment. I have something to tell you. Also at this moment, Solo's expression was solemn, extremely gravely opened his mouth, and his words were filled with complex feelings. Max was broadcasting live, and when he saw this scene, he couldn't help but be stunned. Immediately, looked at the pop-up screen in the live broadcast room. As if he had thought of something, he walked out without saying a word. After walking out of the live broadcast room, Solo also spoke with an extremely solemn expression. Big brother, the hang they're talking about is the Landon you told me to find in the beginning. What? When Solo said these words out, Max even froze in place on the spot. The hangman was Landon. Isn't he a pure roadie? How could he be able to suppress 577? This damn is completely unscientific. To know, although 577 is a newcomer, but in the alliance with the twin stars Yen Old under the support and cultivation, now, is also growing very quickly. It can be said that among the newcomer breakthroughs in the entire alliance, it all belongs to the top existence. It's basically certain that he is Landon, and he's still using a normal AK. Big brother you. But did not wait for Solo to finish his words. Max directly looked solemn and walked towards the training room. Go to the training room. I want to see that Landon in the end has what ability. At this moment, Max was also showing great interest in Landon. If, at the very beginning when Stone recommended Landon had caught his attention. Now, he had suppressed 577 and had killed more than 200 people in the individual competition, which was simply a bit of bullshit. If he didn't see it with his own eyes, he was also a bit unwilling to believe it. At this moment, Max training room, Nian Lao, XQL, Xiao Xiao, and 577, as well as Haunted, S20 has not yet started, and Haunted has not yet left Max. All of their burning gazes were glued to the screen in front of 577, only to see, in the middle of the screen, a man with COD's AK, with his dexterous stance, was frantically setting wildly. All sorts of head-shaking pilling seconds were coming out in an endless stream. The moment he saw it, Max is even more in the heart to determine that this goods is hanging. Then look carefully, can be found. This guy's stance simply reached the degree of silky smooth to the extreme. It can be said, the reason why he was able to kill so many people. The stance also held a great advantage, plus his young reaction speed. At this moment, Landon had gone completely crazy directly in the middle of the individual competition. Looking at the ever-growing number of heads, the faces of the people present all became more and more grave. They all felt a strong sense of pressure from Landon's body. This person, I'm afraid he's not simple. After watching for more than 10 minutes, until the end of a personal competition, the crowd didn't watch anymore. Just after watching it, the crowd's complexion also looked more and more complicated. Nian Lao, what do you think? Max was the first to open his mouth towards his beloved general, Nian Old, and inquired. The gun type is very accurate, the reaction is very fast. As for his stance, well said here. Nian Old also couldn't help but pause for a moment. And then, the sharp eyes also couldn't help but flash through a wisp of essence, and only then slowly opened his mouth. It's enough to be compared to favored one. Upon hearing Nian Lao say this, the crowd, for a moment, all of them also did not open their mouths to speak. Big brother, big brother. It was also at this moment that Stone's extremely anxious voice came from outside the training room. What's wrong? As fussy as a child. Looking at the Stone that was full of anxiety and trotting over with a whole block step, Max also couldn't help but open his mouth and spit out. Look, I have the video of this Landon giving a pair of shots here. The score was still very close, and in the end, if it wasn't for storming out, Landon might have won. And he can also use favored one's dabbing pillar flow. Stone panted and looked extremely anxious as he spoke at the crowd in front of him. What? The crowd that heard this, their faces were even more steeply flushed. A gunfight with the score was very scorching, and also using favored one's dabbing dwelling stream. Just as news after news like this continued to reach the ears of the crowd present, they are also completely unsettled. What exactly is this Landon's origin? It can't be, it's really the second favorite. I drop a good boy, if that's really the case. Thinking of this, within Max's eyes, an incomparably resolute gaze even flashed out. Landon, one must take it down. Silence. The entire training room was as quiet as a pin drop. Everyone didn't say a word, and their burning gazes were constantly looking at the screen. That Landon who was frantically rubbing the pillar with the help of the marble bunker in the middle of the road. Only see, at this moment, he was as dexterous as a cat. Every time he dodged, there were bullets shooting out, but it was impossible to see any of his figure clearly. Scuffing pillar flow. 120% scuffing column flow. When he saw Landon frantically utilizing the cover, the score went from 2-2 at the beginning to 6-2. Everyone in the room sucked in a breath of cold air. The scuffling flow, it really lives up to its name. Scary. Terrifying. Even though he was faced with Seiichi's sudden attack, Landon was still able to drag the score down to such a large amount by using the pillar scrubbing flow. It was nothing short of a miracle. Afterwards, facing OO's rampage, Landon was also a bit overwhelmed. And yet, he still managed to exchange a head in the middle of a desperate situation. It could be said, Landon's performance today was enough to catch up with most professional players. At the same time, the appreciation in Max's eyes grew. The more he looked at it, the more he liked it. Just ask, who in the entire alliance didn't envy the kind of top-notch stance that favored one had? If, indeed, it is possible to incorporate him into the youth training and cultivate him properly. Maybe, this season's Max really has the qualifications to be able to wrestle with AG. After all, how far AG can go nowadays? Among the favorites and the big dogs, that near unsolvable handicap is what gives the entire league the most headaches. And Max is actually the most lacking is the existence of playing the handicap. There is no stable big-hearted player. Back in the day, YYDS Big Dog helped Max win the S14 title when he was with Max. So, now Landon's appearance is also letting Max see a ray of hope. Perhaps, our Max's stalemate can also be as insurmountable as AG's. At this moment, Max, who was immersed in his fantasies, was also suddenly awakened by a voice of alarm. Crap, only to see that at this moment, Stone was staring intently at the computer screen. This Landon, the illusory god, is even playing such a 6 as well. This is too terrifying. Right, it's only been a minute or so since the start of the game, and Landon has already killed 20. Stone was even more stagnant, extremely unbelievable open mouth. He had also played against Landon earlier and knew a little bit about Landon's strength. That Landon was able to successfully exterminate them was more due to his dexterous stance. The gods were out of the blue, making it difficult for them to figure out. But nowadays, Landon is the actual gun skills to crush Shaw. It can be said, now Landon, just like the Devil King descended that, in the entire personal competition room, launched the crushing trend. If you say, at the beginning Landon using AK is like a breakthrough. Now, Landon, who had taken on the god of illusion, was an invincible existence. Crushing without mercy. The crazy 28 consecutive kills caused everyone in the entire room to wail. I'm going. This dude is not a hanging right. Damn, how to hang, 28 consecutive kills. If it's not a hang, then it can only be a professional player. But there's no pro player in the entire league today who's as good as this. Man, you guys didn't see that he used an AK to kill randomly. So what's the big deal? Bullshit, this dude. If he's not a pro, he's definitely a tech. Outrageous too damn outrageous the god of illusion 28 kills. You just call the great general to come also useless Looking at the crowd in the gun training room, Landon's smile at the corner of his mouth was getting deeper and deeper. Great general. Oh, I am the great general at this moment. I'm a great general now. Landon's figure is violently up. The hand of the phantom god is like a god help that. Crazy dump instant up. Almost do not need any open mirror. As if all the enemies are in Landon's mind that way. Such a silky smooth rhythm is also let Landon completely to kill crazy. In just 5 or 6 minutes, Landon's head count came to 123. When seeing this horrible head, the crowd all felt a sense of scalp numbness. This fucking, make sure it's not a professional player blowing up the room. I can't stand it. I want to see what kind of bullishness this Landon has. At this moment, looking at Landon who was crunching and killing, Max Xiao on the side was also extremely dissatisfied and opened his mouth. Both were equally young people, and both were users of the illusory god. He just didn't believe that this Landon would be able to match him as a professional player. Alright, Ma Bo Wu, get on the number. Show them what it means to have fire in your eyes. Max on the side also grinned, then spoke in a half-joking tone. At this moment, just as Landon was using the illusory god to kill randomly in Gaga, experiencing the feeling of control like a demon king. Suddenly, a gunshot rang out. Headshot. Only to see, Landon just fell down in response. The screen once again changed to show that directly it appeared. Max, used M200 Phantom God to kill you. What? Xiao has actually come. Upon seeing this scene, Landon couldn't help but secretly slander in his heart as well. But whirled around. The corner of his mouth was also hooked into a playful smile. It was good to come. He himself just happened to obtain the template of the great general's sniper rifle. And he also just happened to use him to try out how it really works. Max Xiao, he was also aware of it, and was considered to be at the top of the list within the entire Alliance snipers. If really broke out, its horror of the fight is also enough to crush most of the players in the league. Cannot hesitate to say, Max Xiao, if the strength of all out breakout, even not inferior to the slightest S-class players. So, at this moment Landon also took out 102% of the spirit, staring tightly at the screen in front of him to see. Max Xiao is a formidable enemy. This is good. The tougher the enemy, the more it could inspire Landon's fighting spirit. So, in the next second, Landon's figure rose up, like a cat, running at a rapid speed. The phantom god in his hand was like a godly weapon, sniping at every enemy beside him with constant precision, throwing instantaneous, blind instant. Anyway, it is all kinds of instant without opening the mirror. At this moment, because of the appearance of Xiao, Landon's entire strength, but also got a great promotion. After all, with the appearance of such a powerful enemy as Xiao, it is also invisible to give Landon a certain degree of pressure. And at this moment, just see, the original 16 people in the arena room all fell into Landon and Xiaoxia, 2 people's solo show. The rest of the people were all fireflies and white moons, not as sharp as the 2 of them. This scene also caused the entire crowd in the arena room to cry out in agony. Shit, they came here to practice their guns. They didn't come to see your personal show. At this moment, only in the hands of the crazy killing Landon and the fire in the eyes of the Xiaoxia duo. Almost the entire crowd in the individual room didn't have the slightest chance to fight back. This was simply a hanging hammer. And at the same time, the entire crowd in the room also experienced what is called the Real. Outsiders. Shit, there was nothing for them at all. Every time you resurrect, walk out, not yet a few steps, will directly be a shot instantly off. This is still how to play it. So, the original 12-minute individual competition of the gun practice room. is also at this moment seems extraordinarily long. Finally, when the time came to the last minute, only to see the Landon at this moment, as if high on drugs that way, using that like a swimming dragon-like figure, he directly wandered in the entire room. It was so mysterious that it was hard for people to catch it. The last minute, it's a direct 32 kills. Stunned everyone. An average of less than 2 seconds for one person. How fast must this be? Amazing kill streak. Almost perverted reaction speed. It made the entire Max training room feel a strong sense of gravity. This Landon is too terrifying. Double rest. The top of the body technique. Now he also has such a strong reaction speed plus sniping level. At this moment, the crowd didn't even dare to think further. Their faces couldn't help but become complicated. And then, seeing this scene, Max is rushing aside Solo and Ruashi Mo on the spot ordered. At all costs, he must be recruited into Max youth training for me. Understood, big brother. Solo and Ruashi Mo also understood the importance of this Landon and immediately agreed as well. The price and conditions can be negotiated on anything. Remember just one thing, but don't let other clubs cut off. Said in the end, Max's eyes also couldn't help but flash a touch of worry. After all, such an excellent youth training talent, he believes that the entire league is bound to be shaken by it. And at this moment, on the other side, among the Star Esports Club, Zach, who was the leader, was also leading his good brother KZYF, as well as LGD's YZK. The three of them were happily qualifying for the King of Guns together. It can be said that nowadays, these three top players of PL qualifying, even if they are playing the Northern Top 100, there is no pressure whatsoever. It can be said to be the existence of fried fish. Until, after seeing a somewhat familiar name when opening a new round of qualifying, Zach's expression, too, couldn't help but become a bit complicated. Landon, this name is so familiar, brothers, do you know it? Upon hearing this, Zach also rushed towards the rest of the crowd in the YY channel and asked, Landon, I don't know, there doesn't seem to be this person in PL. Never heard of him. This name is too popular. You probably saw it somewhere. I guess so. Zach also couldn't help but mumble, and then also just didn't think too much directly into the game. However, they were unaware of it. A nightmare was about to begin. King of Guns Platoon. Map, Blacktown. In the opening game, Zach and the others appeared under the bridge as defenders. The game had just begun when Zach was seen amongst the language channels, speaking. Brothers, listen to me, we first. But when the words were just half said, only a gunshot was heard. And after that, one of the teammates, directly, is when crossing the point was lurking at home a shot sniper. No, the opening on the send, buddy, this how to play well. Looking at the teammate who gave away milk in the opening round, Zach also couldn't help but complain. Bandit house window. At this moment, the teammate who had been sniped also hurriedly reported the point and said, I'll do it. It was also at this moment that YZK, who was the strongest old 6 in the alliance today, also immediately spoke up. And then, with a big jump plus a flash, he just appeared near the jump platform. The illusory god opened his mirror and kept crouching up, trying to find an opportunity. But just as YZK was constantly crouching up and dodging, trying to find an opportunity, boom, a gunshot rang out. It penetrated the diving platform's block, and directly just took YZK down again. Crap, there's a hang. Seeing the situation, YZK also immediately exclaimed, and said, his entire face looked very grave. He had obviously been very careful with his dodging, but he was still sniped off. Where? Zach sniffed and also couldn't help but hurriedly open his mouth to inquire. Still at the bandit's house window, now it's already heading towards the back flower. Through the depth view, YZK also rushed to his teammates to report the point. I'm going to B barn, let me snipe him. And then, the great General YF also immediately reacted, taking big steps is toward the B warehouse. But Shushu didn't know. At this moment, the B barn, too, had long ago ambushed 2 lurkers. At the moment of seeing YF from B dog touch out, the hands of the QBZ and Thor is at the same time fire. Instantly is toward YF crazy shot. But the great general was still the great general. In the nick of time, the god of illusion in his hand even smoothed 2 shots, accurately hit the ambush in the B warehouse in the 2 lurkers. Area B instantly fell. Beautiful, beautiful YF, beautiful. Awesome, worthy of being a great general. Watching YF slay 2 people in a row, Zach and YZK couldn't help but open their mouths to praise them as well. But on the contrary, at this moment, YF really didn't have the slightest bit of slack. After feeling out from the B-dog, he also arrived behind the tin box with an extremely careful figure. Through the window of the B-bin, he constantly observed the situation in the middle of the B-bin. But just at the moment when YF kept dodging, boom, a flashbang exploded and, directly widening YF. Holy shit, I ate white. YF immediately opened his mouth in an alert manner. Let me help you. At this moment, a side of the team members is also immediately open mouth said. And then, directly after that, he leapt down from the bridge. holding the God of Thunder ready to touch towards the B door. I'll go around from bar B. At this moment, Zach also directly touched out from the top of the jump platform and directly opened his mouth. The idea of the two was simple. YF would hold Landon down in barn B, and the two of them would take one from door B and the other from bridge B. Double-sided attack directly is to completely trap and lock Landon in the B bin. And just at the moment Zach touched out from the jump, above the small also suddenly flashed through two silhouettes, alert Zach. Immediately Phantom God dump instant. 2 shots to the head. Directly is to solve the small 2 lurkers. But at the same time, it also exposed his own position, already to the bar B. At the same time Landon was also checking out the deaths of the 2 team members. At the same time, an important piece of news was learned. That is, Zach is touching down on the bar B. No way. He couldn't just sit back and wait for death anymore. Otherwise, if this continues, sooner or later, he will be trapped and die in barn B. So, the next second Landon is also ready to kill directly out of the barn. Let's settle YF first. But the moment Landon was just about to move, the YF who was lurking behind the B package tin box also understood that nowadays, he only needed to drag Landon here. So, directly handed over his flashbang plus grenade. Boom, boom. 2 explosions rang out. It also succeeded in stopping Landon's way. But Landon understood in his heart that at this moment, he had no other choice. Only able to harden his head. So, eating Great White and stepping on the thunder, Landon also directly killed out. This moment, perhaps even the great general himself did not think that Landon dared to step on the thunder and eat the white out. So, undoubtedly, it was directly killed by a single shot, flung instantly. He rushed out. The dying YF also hurriedly opened his mouth to report the point. The teammates who were outside the B gate heard this, but they also directly aimed their guns at Landon in the B bag. But in the next second, Landon, who had a super fast reaction, directly made a 180-degree spinning sniper. Boom. The gun went off, and the man died. What? When he saw Landon's 180-degree rotating sniper shot, it was like a hangman's sniper shot. Zach and the others were all completely numb. I'm going to go. This dude isn't hung. Eating White can still snipe people. Spanish Scorpion Sniper. 180 degrees this reaction speed. Almost catch up with many professional players Who is this guy? In the Northern Top 100, is there this guy? A time. Zach and the others. Their complexion couldn't help but become complicated. After seeing this series of Landon's almost hangman-like operations, the hearts of the people were also becoming more and more cautious. It won't turn over, right? We are a professional team. At this moment, YF couldn't help but laugh and open his mouth. Ha ha ha. No way, Zach's wild sniper, but no one is convinced. It's just a passerby. Let's see how I can snipe him. Hearing this, Zach's figure also shook up violently and directly touched out from bar B like this. When he came to bridge B, Zach's figure, too, couldn't help but become careful. It's a beat up. Just grab it with a pistol. In the voice channel, the sound of a teammate's report also rang out. Hearing this, Zach also silently pulled out his Colt pistol and prepared to slowly walk towards the B bin. It was also at this moment, above the head, suddenly it was the message that the C4 had been planted that was displayed. Lock B bag, just grab it directly. At this moment, YZK also immediately opened his mouth and reminded, is there a mine? Throw a mine and he's probably dead. Zach, who heard the words, didn't have any hesitation and directly threw the grenade towards the B bag in a smooth manner. The grenade explosion rang out. The moment he saw Zach throw the grenade, Landon immediately alert, figure like a ghost, directly is withdrawn to the back point of the B package. He dodged the grenade attack. Zach, who had missed, couldn't help but feel complicated. Immediately, after taking a deep breath, he also carried the Colt in his hand and slowly walked towards the front. No matter what, this Landon must be resolved. Moreover, nowadays, there was not much time left before the explosion of C4B. He himself must move. Just like that, Zach slowly felt his way out along the B bin. After coming to the B bag, Zach's entire countenance, too, instantly became alert. Looking at so many bunkers behind B, Zach was also able to conclude at this moment, Landon was definitely hiding behind one of the boxes. But, exactly behind which box? Listening to the sound of C4 explosions that were constantly prompted, Zach also realized more and more in his heart. There was not much time left for himself. One had to make a choice immediately, but in the very next second, Zach was just about to move to walk towards the front when, suddenly the tin box on the right side suddenly just flashed by a silhouette. Right. It was also at this moment that the sound of his teammates chiming in was all over the headphones. The next second, Zach even rapidly twisted his mouse, constantly pulling the trigger, trying to shoot the figure on the right. But that figure was just like a ghost. The moment it appeared, it immediately dodged Zach's firing range. And Landon, who saw this scene, also revealed a trace of disdainful smile. It's over. Thinking that, Landon still directly performed a gun throw instant. And after that, only to hear, a gunshot rang out. Boom. The bullet whizzed by, directly towards Zach. But, because Landon was too careless, the bullet did not hit Zach in front of him. Instead, it went towards the surrounding wall. The gun was empty. Instantly, Landon also realized that he had made the most fatal mistake. Shit. Damn it. I won't show off next time. Thinking that, Landon's figure surged up again. Like a cat, he picked up the phantom god on the ground with great speed. Without opening the mirror, directly blind instant. One shot into the soul. Gold headshot. Boom. Along with this last gunshot. In time, the C4 was also directly blown up. The loud sound filled everyone's ears, looking at the screen above the display of the Lurker's victory, as well as the opposite Landon's single 5 kills to destroy the team, Zach and the others. It was also a bit difficult to accept the reality in front of them. This, Zach, who claimed to be the king of the show on top of the entire CODPL arena, was actually shown by someone else one day as well. Instantly, an inexplicable feeling of humiliation filled Zach's heart. In particular, the last gun-throwing moment was a show that flipped the faces of Zach and the others. This moment, Zach was also inspired with an unprecedented fighting spirit. Come on, brothers, put him on the live. Let him know that we are not to be messed with. Zach spoke extremely solemnly, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but twitch. The God of War Zach officially debuted. At this moment, when the countless fans in the live broadcast room saw Landon's last instantaneous sniper shot, they all felt a sense of incredulity. All of them felt a sense of incredulity. Afterwards, there are even live broadcasting room water friends found out that something is not right. No, this Landon, it seems like Bruce's live broadcast has seen it before. At that time, he stormed Bruce, and later, with the help of his stance advantage, he group destroyed Bruce and Stone and the others. I'll go, when you say it like that. I remember, did he even go gun to gun with OO in the back? Crap, are you talking about the guy who used dabbing pillar flow and got OO mobbed? What? Dabbing the column flow, letting OO go berserk. And you guys didn't see his GA kills in the individual competition room. An AK directly is set out a piece of heaven. Okay, that gun type. Honestly, I thought it was hanging. AK, do you know that Landon is not using an AK? He's just using the Mirage God. A moment. The entire Zach's live broadcast room is also instantly exploded pot. Countless pop-up water friends also have to participate in the discussion. At this moment, Zach also noticed the crazy pop-ups. His heart could not help but feel a sense of awe. The group is extinct. Wait, earlier, didn't Extreme say that when he was playing online with Jedi, he met a player with a hanging body thief? Said that if he had the chance, he would like to pull him inside E-Star as well. At that time, Zach was playing ranked and didn't care in the slightest about Extreme's words. But now, thinking about it again, it's hard not to be. Instantly, Zach also realized something that way. Hurriedly rushed to the YF and YZK in the middle of the language channel and opened his mouth. Brothers, I have something to do first. I'll go down first. You two continue, huh? At this moment, Zach couldn't care less. If Landon was really as bullish as the pop-ups said, then it was also someone who must be pulled into E-Star. After all, last season's S-Star had rushed into the finals with a reckless spirit, although 3-1 loss to AG. But this does not affect their momentum. This off-season, everyone is nervous to prepare for the next S20 season. And now, Landon's appearance is also just able to make up for the defects of E-Star. So, at this moment, Zach is also directly quit the game, fire down the broadcast. Must figure out this Landon, in the end what kind of person. And at this moment, not only is Zach, KZ's YF and LGD's YZK also saw the pop-ups coming from the live broadcast. Instantly also is understand what that kind of. And then, Landon saw an extremely strange scene. The opponent had surrendered. Game over. What? Surrendered? It's only one game, and you've surrendered. It's too meaningless. Landon muttered, and then stretched his back in a slightly reluctant manner. Looking up at the time, it was also 90 in the evening. One had also played the game all day. It was time to rest. Thinking about it, Landon directly is offline. Shut down the computer, began to rest up. But, at this moment, an extremely shocking scene occurred in the middle of the entire alliance. That is, 10 clubs. At this moment, all the managers and leaders, all did not rest. They were all inquiring about one person, Landon, a man who suddenly rose to prominence. A man who, by himself, has stirred up the entire league's top 4 clubs. From the very beginning, he violently beat up Bruce, and then rubbed the column stream to attract OO to storm out. Individual competition wildly killed 200 head, finally force pressure dash. A minute, even instant more than 30 people. And then, now more and more as a single person to destroy the team, staged a throw gun instantly, directly to 11 Su Shonum. To be honest, if these are not with live video as evidence, it can be said that almost no one a person dare to believe. This is a non-professional player to complete. To be honest, Landon this strength, even in today's star-studded CODPL inside, is also the existence of a unique class. That's why, at this moment, the 10 COD clubs all began to use their connections to continuously inquire about Landon's situation. No matter what, they had to use all means to find a way to get Landon onto their team. Among them, AG and Max were the two teams that were even more determined to get Landon. Especially Max, at this moment, he had already prepared everything, even going so far as to take out the main starting position as a condition. He only wanted Landon to come over. At the same time, Landon was still unaware that he had been targeted by so many people. He was sleeping sweetly. In his dream, he was also dreaming about himself and a group of teammates from AG sweeping the major tournaments of 2022. Not only did he take home the COD Pulse 20 season title, but he also led AG to win the World Championship in one fell swoop. Dream. Landon was seen holding a COD's AK and killing people. More than that, he drew the beginning of the World 1 Chug 00 and changed his name on the spot. World 2 Chug.